What's going on, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto anime. Today we're going to be covering episode 184, which is an adaptation of chapters 19 and part of chapter 20 in the Boruto manga. So, how was the episode? Well, before I get into the review, if you like this type of content and you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Anyways, let's get on to that review, shall we? Now, interesting enough, this episode starts out with Kawaki actually standing outside on a cliff. It looks like it was copied and pasted from the opening, so interesting. Anyways, we go over to the scene with Boruto and the others leaving the research lab with Chamaru and Dr. Katasuke, and he's got his battle suit on. And interesting enough, they actually cut out the conversation between Sumire and Zarda here, which I was a little disappointed with. I'm wondering if maybe they're going to add it in as a flashback later on, or they're moving it to, later on since Sumire is coming back to the village, or they're just removing it in its entirety. Not really sure, but more on that later. But anyways, they all head out. They're going to investigate what's going on with Mujino and Konohamaru. So they arrive on the scene with the puppets on the ground, and they're deactivated. And they originally think, there's probably a puppet user hanging around that had these puppets, so be on alert. Katasuke goes into the blimp and he starts investigating. He notices a black container, and that's when the puppets activate. And Boruto and the others engage, with Boruto using the Thunderclap Jutsu, which was pretty cool, and Sardo using Fire Style Jutsu, but the puppets keep getting back up and they're in a bit of trouble. So Dr. Katasuke is like, hey guys, let me handle this. He stands up and he uses his battle suit, which he uses his things on his arms, which produce these weird black orbs, which absorb jutsu, and it does it enough to where the puppets actually stop working and malfunction. So they take out the puppets, but leave one because Dr. Katasuke wants to take back one for research. And as it turns out, these puppets aren't being used by a puppet master using puppet jutsu. Instead, they're actually scientific ninja tools. In fact, they are far more advanced than the ones in Konoha, which Sardo notes that, hey, isn't Konoha the only area that actually is utilizing scientific ninja tools right now? And Katasuke remembers that he was actually, when he was interrogated because of what happened at the Chunin exams, turns out somebody placed a genjutsu on him, and more than likely the scientific ninja tools data got leaked, and as a result, it looks like Kara here got their hands on it. I wonder who put that genjutsu on Katasuke. But anyways, Chamaru shows up and he actually has found one of Konohamaru's blades. So they head out to go and find Konohamaru. So they manage to track Konohamaru and Mujino to a cave that they're hiding out in, as Mujino is still injured. And they catch up as to what's going on, and they're talking, and Konohamaru actually comes to the conclusion that Kara must be involved because, the faces of those puppets, they had faces on them, and they were the faces of people they encountered at Victor's lab. So Kara must be involved in some way, and they must have the data on the scientific ninja tools that far surpasses Konoha's. And that's when Mr. Ao shows up, demanding some questions and intel from Konohamaru, which he refuses to give him since he's on a mission. Plus, Ao is a shinobi that's retired currently, so why would he give him the information without knowing why? So Ao here is like, okay then. Well, he just whips out his machine gun that he got from Kashin Code, and he's like, yeah, you guys can just all disappear forever, and just starts blasting on them. So Katasuke is actually able to absorb some of the machine gun blasts since they're made from ninjutsu, and since his gloves are made to absorb ninjutsu with those black orbs, he's able to absorb some of it. Ao notices this, and while he's distracted, Konohamaru shows up, uses his Rasengan, and destroys the machine gun, seemingly putting Ao at a little bit of a disadvantage here. So this is where things get a little interesting. So Konohamaru is demanding questions from Ao, being like, hey, what is in that black container? You're going to have to tell me now. And Ao's like, well, you're not sharing your intel. We won't share our intel. And that's when Mujino and Konohamaru realize that this has something to do with the organization Kara. And as soon as Ao hears this, he blasts Konohamaru in the face with, he has 2 holes in his chest, which he's able to shoot out from with some ninjutsu, and it hits Konohamaru straight in the face and knocks him out, or knocks him down at least. And Ao's over here like, okay, this has gotten to a bit of a messier situation than I thought. Yeah, because you uttered that name, you're all gonna have to die now. At this point, Ao actually gains the advantage, and manages to apprehend Katasuki and take one of his gloves. And as Boruto is going to attack him with Rasengan, he activates the glove and absorbs Boruto's Rasengan and kicks him up against the wall. Sarada realizes that the situation is dire and wants to use that smoke bomb that she used on the test the other day, the ninja smoke bomb that blinded Boruto and Mitsuki. But unfortunately, Konohamaru and Mujino wouldn't know what's going on either, so they wouldn't be able to move. So she doesn't know if she should use it or not. That's when Mujino actually makes a desperate attempt to restrain Ao. Now this is the scene I've been dreading for months. The scene where Mujino sacrifices himself. And man, I didn't want this character to die. I mean, the anime's done such a good job with this character. I just didn't want to lose Mujino, but here we are. And this scene was much better than what was portrayed in the manga because it adds the whole scene where Mujino and Ao met and context behind there where he's like, hey, stop it. You're not like this, Ao. We met at the 4th Great Shinobi War Memorial, and you told me about your life, how you escaped death. And, you know, I was inspired by it, how you lived your life as a shinobi, and you fulfilled your duties. And then I was over here like, no, you're wrong. I'm not a shinobi, but I'm a tool. And he has a, looks like a chakra blade that's hidden, and it stabs right through Mujino, giving him a fatal blow. And with the last bit of strength that Mujino has, he uses an Earth Style attack to bury them. And Boruto here, instead of in the manga, where he's just more shocked at what's going on, he's actually screaming out for his big bro Mujino. And Mujino tells him to stay back and remember his promise. And that's when, you know, the cave collapses. And yeah, Mujino is gone. Unfortunately, Ao managed to survive this attack. And even though Boruto wants to deal with Ao, Konohamaru tells him to retreat because we can't let Mujino's sacrifice go to waste. So they retreat, and Ao gets out the rubble and promises that none of them are going to escape alive. Now I wanted to save this part for last because we got another Kara anime original scene in this episode, and following up from last week's episode where it looked like Code was spying on Jigen, so Code actually goes to attack Jigen and he immediately deals with the situation and throws Code at a wall. And Jigen's over here like, yeah, you got a long way to go, son. So I think it's more so like something that Code maybe does all the time. Like he tries to attack Jigen, and Jigen just deals with him. And he's like, yeah, you still got a long way to go, and you got to get stronger. You're not strong enough to take me on, son. But Code here, he's a little dissatisfied because he's the one that wants to take out the traitor. He wants to be sent to take out the traitor once they figure out who it is. But Jigen already has a job for him, which I wonder what that job is. Anyways, Code, he seems a little dissatisfied and he walks away. And I actually like the next scene where Delta shows up. And I like it because they seem like siblings here. But they bicker a little bit and tease one another. And Delta actually teases Code over here. He's like, it's too bad that he likes him the most, referring to the vessel, which seems to annoy Code a bit. So yeah, I actually kind of like this scene. I like what the anime is doing with the Kara members and fleshing them out. So overall, I thought this was another solid episode, adapting chapters 19 and part of chapter 20. I think it did a solid job adapting most of the scenes. I'll get into the scene that they omitted in a minute, but yeah. So, I mean, the best part of this episode is easily the Mujino scene, and it's just something that, again, I was dreading this scene. I did not want to lose Mujino. I've actually grown attached to this character. And I actually like Mujino quite a lot, and I like his personality, and I like his dynamic with Konohamaru and Boruto. And you get to see how this character has changed since the beginning of the Kara Actuation arc. He's become a little bit more open, a little bit, less serious, and just you get to see that he's actually a really good character. So it's sad to see him go like this, but he made us, he made the ultimate sacrifice to save everybody's lives, because that's the person who he is. If he becomes a burden to everybody else, he'll sacrifice himself so everybody else can have a chance at living. So, I mean, I like that aspect of Mujino's character, but I like the context that they added here, because, Ao and Mujino met prior to, this meeting here and Mujino's sacrifice. So it adds more layers here, and I like what they're doing here. It's trying to tell Ao, hey, I admire you a lot. Why are you doing something like this? You inspired me as a shinobi. Why are you doing something like this? And Ao mentions that he's not a shinobi, he's a tool. So he's essentially being used by Kara. So I mean, I just like how they've handled Mujino. But I think now the one thing I'm curious about is how did Ao actually join Kara? Like I kind of want to know exactly why he joined Kara. Like maybe there's some backstory as to what happened after his rehabilitation in Konoha. Like somehow he came in contact with Kara and somehow became interested in their goals or something like that and became a tool of Kara. Not really sure. That's just something I'm hoping to see before, the upcoming Battle Thou, or maybe before, the end of this arc. Not really sure what the anime is planning on doing, but I just want to see something like that. Now, let's talk about the scene that was cut from this episode. The conversation between Sumire and Sarada. So the anime adapted all the way up until Sumire basically was like, hey, Miss Akita, it looks like she's taking a liking to Boruto. And then Sarada's like, oh, well, I gotta go, class rep. I'll see you later. Whereas in the manga, she talks about how, is Boruto popular with women or with girls? Sarada actually is like, oh, well, I guess he gets along with everybody else. And Sumire's like, well, doesn't that bother you? That someone else might like Boruto? Which Sarada's like, of course not. Which Sumire's like, I see. Well, guess what? It certainly bothers me. Yeah, I like him. And I don't want that to happen. So, I'm just curious to see if maybe they're gonna show that as a flashback scene later on, or if they're gonna move that to like some other scene, considering that Sumire is gonna be heading back to the village because she's gonna be working as assistant for Dr. Katasuki at the headquarters. So more than likely she's gonna be showing up in future episodes pretty soon. So they could move it to that. I'm not really sure. There's also a chance that they're just gonna completely omit it because the anime has omitted some Borosara scenes from the manga, which I know a lot of people weren't too fond of, so they probably did the same thing here. I don't know why they're toning down the shipping moments, but, oh well. Maybe they just don't want a ship war to break out. Not really sure. I'm a little bummed out that this scene didn't get adapted, but, it's not the worst thing in the world. Alrighty, guys, that's all I got for this episode review. So, episode 184 is done and in the books, and I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. So, guys, in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What are your thoughts about Mujino's sacrifice? What are your thoughts about the conversation with Sumire and Sarada being cut out? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you all later. You have a great day or night wherever you're at, and peace.